What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports here to give you the edge for this Raiders vs. Chargers matchup on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please share your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NFL content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.dgfantasy.com. On dgfantasy.com, we give you cheat sheets for every major sport, along with ownership projections, actual projections, and strategy for every single slate. We also cover optimal cash plays as well as preferred GPP plays and stacks for specific contest sizes. We do the dirty work for you. We are also currently partnered with Fantasy Cruncher, the best optimizer in the industry. When signing up for our $30 package, you also get a $20 credit to use towards any Fantasy Cruncher product. We provide the best value in the industry. And now let's go ahead and dive right into the showdown slate between the Raiders and the Chargers. Hopefully everybody had a great week 4 main slate. I ended up, I believe I split my money in half. I put down, I think, 400, got like 242 back, but I made a lot on the showdown slate last night. Did stack the Patriots in a lot of my contests, and they weren't expected to keep it that close. Nonetheless, I finished barely positive on week 4, so now I'm technically 3 of 4 through these first 4 weeks of NFL season, so it's been a great start to start the season. But with this showdown slate, let's go ahead and focus on it. I'm going to go over the basics here on what to expect in terms of the game script, the over-under, what positions we're really looking at, and I'm going to go position by position, team by team, to give you my favorite plays and some of my favorite pay down options, because there's actually a lot of pay up options or pay down options on this slate rather. So let's go ahead and do that first here. The over-under is set at a 51.5 here between the Chargers and Raiders. This is at the Chargers, and the Raiders have gotten off to a surprising start to start the season. Both of these teams have a pretty good offense and also decent defenses, more on the Chargers side there. But because this game total is so high at 51.5 and it is expected to be close, I'm really not considering my defenses. If you guys have watched my other videos, defenses rarely make it into the showdown optimal, especially on FanDuel and on Yahoo. But DraftKings, if you want to include them in your player pool, by all means, feel free to do that. They're always over-owned in my opinion. If they're above 5 to 10%, then yeah, I think they're over-owned, and I think that by fading them, it creates more of an edge. And definitely don't put them in your captain spot ever. But yeah, let's start out on the Raiders side here and go over the quarterback position first. We just have Derek Carr, and Derek Carr at 10.8K should be a cash lock. If the Raiders are going to get things going, it's going to be strictly through him. He's throwing the ball 43, 37, and 56 times through his first 3 games. Has a floor of about 25 fantasy points here, and a pretty good matchup where it's expected to be competitive. So yes, he's going to be throwing the ball, should be handing off the ball a lot, should be a very efficient offense here by the Raiders. So definitely like him at his 10.8K price tag. Again, if you're putting a wide receiver in the captain spot, make sure you always have Derek Carr in your flex position, because you're capitalizing on the upside of your wide receiver scoring and also Derek Carr throwing that touchdown or long bomb down the field there. So always have Derek Carr if you're putting a captain Raider wide receiver in your captain spot. So 10.8K is also not that bad of a price tag. Switching over to the running back position, this is the position where I don't really know what's going to happen here. Josh Jacobs is expected to play. He's technically questionable. If he's ruled out, then yes, there's going to be a lot of opening value here. Kenyon Drake would be a smash spot at a 5.4K price tag, and he'd, I would assume, be chalk at 20.8% right now. This is projecting that Josh Jacobs plays. But if Josh Jacobs does play, then yeah, these price tags really don't make sense, because Josh Jacobs, when he played in his first game, I'll actually pull over the snap counts here. He played in 52% of the snaps, which he was splitting. He was exactly splitting carries here with Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake played 48% of the snaps. So that's probably what the backfield's going to look like if Josh Jacobs does play. It's just going to be Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. And then Peyton Barber's price tag makes absolutely no sense at 6.8K. But he becomes more of a GPP option if Josh Jacobs is held out. So I will pin the post in the comment section below if Josh Jacobs is ruled out, because that's the one bit of pending injury news that we don't really know up to this point. Again, I'm recording this at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Switching over to the wide receiver picture, this one's interesting. We have Henry Ruggs, Renfrow, and Bryan Edwards, and I feel like all 3 of those wide receivers play a lot of snaps, and they're very streaky. Like, we don't know, which wide receiver Derek Carr really favors. So when we take a look at the snap counts here, I like to prioritize the guys that are on the field the most, because they have the highest probability of doing well. Therefore, Darren Waller, not a wide receiver, but he dominates this passing game by far here for the Raiders. We will get to him here in a second. But then it's Bryan Edwards at 76% of the snaps, and then Henry Ruggs at 58%. And then Renfrow at 52. So it looks like Bryan Edwards is dominating this wide receiver core in terms of the amount of snaps and also in the depth chart. So he's averaging 72% on the season, Henry Ruggs 63, and then Renfrow at 50.6. When we convert that over to the price tags, Bryan Edwards is actually the cheapest, and that's because he hasn't had that boom game yet for these guys, but he's still getting the consistent targets here, 5, 3, and 5. So he's getting decent targets here through the first 3 games. Renfrow has gotten a lot more targets, but he's also only on the field here 50.6% of the time. So he's just getting open more often. Love to see that. But when you look at this from a value perspective, like, I'm going to take the guy that's on the field more often than not. Okay, I get, you got to play into the amount of routes they're running and how far down the field they're actually running. But I'm taking the guy that's going to get consistent catches, consistent time on the field. I think Bryan Edwards makes for a good value play at 5K. And again, we're still waiting for that boom game. It could definitely come in this game. And I'm taking the discounted here at $800 and $1,400 off of Ruggs. Ruggs is probably going to be more of a GPP option in my opinion because he's had that one boom game. He's still getting 7, 7, and 5 targets. So I do like the consistency through all 3 of these guys. And you might as well just close your eyes and pick if it comes down to picking one of these wide receivers. But I'm definitely not prioritizing these guys in cash. I want to prioritize Darren Waller because he's getting the targets. He's on the field the most. And honestly, he's probably the best wide receiver on this roster. So when we switch over to that, oh, by the way, we should probably go over Zay Jones. Zay Jones at $1,800 actually isn't that bad of an option if you're looking for a very, very cheap option. I still like some of these other cheaper options here on the slate, but he's still on the field 27% of the time. Just $1,800. If you land on them as a last piece, I definitely don't hate that. But other than that, I'm not considering any other wide receivers. Switching over to the tight end picture, yes, Darren Wallace should be a cash lock, 36.3% owned. His ownership says so, and so does his volume and the time on the field for him. Mario, I think that's how you pronounce his name, at $1,400. I actually do like him at 8.3% ownership. So if we switch back to the snap counts here, Mario is playing... Am I looking at the right team? Yes, 57% of snaps. He's playing consistently over 50% of the snaps at a $1,400 price tag. So he's playing more than Zay Jones. And he's gotten 3 and 2 targets. Definitely not the volume that we love to see here. But if he's getting targeted in the red zone, which he pulled down a touchdown here in the first game, then yeah, I'm going to prioritize him. And at a $1,400 price tag, he only has to get to 2.8 points. Just missed that mark in last game, but this was a better defense there in Miami. Same thing with Pittsburgh. This is probably the worst of the 3 defenses. Again, that's up for debate here. Of the first 3 games that he's played. So I like this matchup here a lot more for him against the Chargers, $1,400, and I love Darren Waller and Mario. If you land on them as a last piece, probably my favorite pay down options here on the slate for the Raiders. And then switching over to the kicker, yes, Carlson's always going to be in play. I'm going to be favoring the Chargers kicker if you happen to land on them as a last piece in GPPs and in cash. Definitely don't hate that. Again, that's all up to GameScript. I wish they would just get rid of kickers out of the player pool like Yahoo does. Because it really just comes down to luck and if the defenses stop these guys more often than not in the red zone. But yeah, let's switch over to the other team here, the Chargers, and they are favored by 3 points. So these guys in general should be higher owned. That's why those wide receivers on the Raiders side really don't pop as much to me for cash. But Justin Herbert should be a priority. He is the highest owned on the slate. 11.2, it's just a little bit more expensive there than Derek Carr, 46% owned. So yes, you have to lock him in. If the Chargers are going to get anything going, it's going to be through Justin Herbert. And he also hasn't gotten off to that bad of a start here. His floor is 18 points. We see in the ceiling game, which was last game, of 30.84 points. So this should be a back and forth battle between him and Carr. Switching over to the running back position here, we have Austin Eckler, who has been dominant up to this point. 11.7, 22.5, and 22.7 points through his first 3 games. Another cash priority just because of his skill set. At 9.6, he's a bit expensive here, and I think that the wide receivers could easily outperform him. But again, he's just a safe play here. No matter the game script, if they're playing from behind, he's still getting targets out of the backfield. If they're playing from ahead, he's still getting the ball a majority of the time. So here, as you can see, Austin Eckler is only playing 64.7% of the snaps here on average through the first 3 games. This is a pass-heavy offense, so that's another thing to note. But keep in mind, Austin Eckler is still targeted in the passing game. If I pull up his stats here, loading, he's gotten 6 and 9 targets through his first 2 games. Washington, he wasn't targeted, but he also got the ball 15 times, so the game script looked a little bit different there. So Austin Eckler, definitely a cash priority. And these other guys, I'm definitely not considering. Roundtree has not scored a point yet. to start the season. Same thing with Justin Jackson, all these other guys. So Austin Eckler is the workhorse back for this offense. Should be a cash priority and also in small GPPs. Switching over, this picture is very, very interesting. If you would have told me that Keenan Allen was going to be cheaper than Mike Williams at some point in the season, I would have told you that you were crazy. And not only that, he's $1,400 cheaper than Mike Williams, but it's because of what Mike Williams has been able to do this season. 22, 22, and 36 points. Do I think that continues? No, I don't throughout the entire season. Anybody who says that this will continue is probably a little bit crazy. I get that this is a pass-heavy offense, but Keenan Allen is the better player. Again, up for debate, but historically, he's still getting 13, 8, and 12 targets through his first 3 games. He's technically getting more targets, barely, than Mike Williams, and he hasn't done as much with those targets as Mike Williams has. So at 36.6%, I think Keenan Allen's going to be a priority over Mike Williams. It's going to be very, very hard to get Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Justin Herbert into your lineup. So if you want to do that, make for a very contrarian build and hope Austin Eckler drops a dud. I think that's a very contrarian build, and I think you can put either one of these guys at the captain spot, and it could easily separate yourself from the field, especially if they score more points than they should here. So I like both of these wide receivers. I am prioritizing Keenan Allen over Mike Williams, but Mike Williams is still a beast. I'm not disrespecting him. I'm disrespecting his price tag over Keenan Allen's. Like, if they were the same exact price tag, then yeah, I would be like, okay, now this is a little bit more fair. But because of that price tag at 10.2K, I'm just not a huge fan. 36.2% owned. I don't think he's a cash priority, but I do think that if you land on him, I don't hate it. And then Jalen Guyton, one guy I want to talk about at 2.4K. Hasn't been doing much to start the season here, but keep in mind, his price tag, you only have to hit 4.8 DK points to hit his price point. Hit it in his first game, almost hit it in the second, and then didn't do anything with it here versus Kansas City. And I really just think it comes down to the game script. Again, Jalen Guyton's another guy that's just out there a lot. 62% of the time, averaging 66.1% team snaps through the first 3 games. So this is a guy here that could be very surprising. If we see a boom game from him here specifically in this game, could easily break open the slate. I don't see him being over 5 to 10% owned. I think he's a fantastic value option here, and probably my favorite value play on the slate with the most upside. As you saw here, looking at his game log, he's very involved in the offense, just hasn't seen those opportunities as much as Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So I definitely do prioritize him here. I think he's a good cash filler, GPP filler, and could easily make for a very contrarian captain. I might not go that far, but I think he's a very good play here at 2.4K. Another guy is Josh Palmer at $400. So if we take a look here at Palmer, only he's averaging about 19.3% of snap counts. Josh Palmer, though, $400 only has to get to 0.8 DK points to hit his value. 1 target, 2 targets in the first 2 weeks, and then didn't get one last week. But 2.7 and 4.1 points is what he got in the first 2 weeks. Has beat value there 2 out of the 3 weeks that he started. So definitely don't mind Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton. You could possibly get all 4 of those wide receivers in there and still have some salary left over to pay up on the other side there for another valuable player on the Raiders side. So wide receiver picture here is very strong for the Chargers, but the price tag on Mike Williams does scare me. If he happens to have another ceiling game, then yeah, I could eat my words. But again, I don't think that continues with the production next to Keenan Allen. I think Mike Williams is fantastic because this is the pass-heavy offense, but I just think that the price tag here on Keenan Allen does make me prioritize him just a little bit more than Mike Williams. Switching over to the tight end picture here, not really too much interest here in Jared Cook. Parham, I think it's how you pronounce his name. If we take a look here at Jared Cook's snap count, it's only around 61.9%. Again, it's dominated by Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and even Guyton, and Guyton is the cheaper one. So yes, just a GPP play here from Jared Cook. He's been getting decent targets here, 3, 5, and 8. Has been pretty consistent, but at a 4.4K price tag, he has to get to 8.8 DK points to hit value. He's only hit that in 1 of the three games so far. Hit it in his first game because he got targeted 8 times. I don't think he sees those targets continuously here through the rest of the season, specifically in this game. Kicker, always in play, and then defenses are not. So those are my favorite plays here on the slate. Let's now switch over to my favorite prize pick here on the slate. If you guys haven't signed up for Prize Picks, first of all, what are you doing? Enter code using DGF for 100% match up to $100. You simply hit the over or under on any certain fantasy projection or player prop. My favorite player prop to look at here for the slate is going to be Bryan Edwards at 37.5 receiving yards. That is crazy low. He's hit that mark in the past 3 games, And you can argue that he hasn't had the most productive of his last 3 games, and he still hit that mark. Hit 40 yards in his first game, and then hit back-to-back 80-yard performances. So 37.5 is very, very low on a team that could possibly be playing from behind here, since they are the away team. So Bryan Edwards, 37.5 over receiving yards is my favorite lock here for Prize Pick. And that will wrap up my video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future NFL content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.